morning. This is the Maryland Environmental Service Board of Directors meeting, August 21st, 2025. It is currently 9:38. We are getting started just a few minutes late, but we are ready to roll. We do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from July 24th, 2025. If everyone has had an opportunity to read the minutes, feel free to offer any suggestions or amendments. Otherwise, we can assume approval by consent. And hearing no comments, the minutes are approved. Good morning, Dr. Glass. Are you ready for your Executive Director's report?
Yes, Madam Chair, I am. First up, parking. We had a strategic advance, the quarterly meeting of the leadership, about 40 folks or so. We went to Hagerstown. Subsequently, anyone that got a salad got food poisoning, but hopefully it had helped them lose a little water weight, and then they got it right back. But so we did file, we did contact Hagerstown and the Department of Health, and they're doing an investigation into whatever everyone got. That's my $22 fee for parking that day. And we did go to a great, if you've not been to the stadium in Hagerstown yet, a great small venue for families to have fun at a baseball game. So about 7 or 8 of us stayed all day and went to the game and had some camaraderie. Next slide. Oh, before that slide, I also associated with expenses, just want to make the board aware that I intend to attend the Water Environment Federation Technical Conference in Chicago, Illinois at the end of September. For new board members that are not familiar, because due to the Reform Act, I let you know about expensive conferences or flights out of town in advance. If you have any questions about the purpose, reason I'm going, I'm happy to answer those. In this case, I've been invited once again to participate in the Blacks in Water forum on Sunday of the conference. And I've also been invited by WEF to be on a panel on Monday, September 29th, discussing cooperative federalism, which is how MES supports other state agencies with support from the federal government and any impacts that we felt to date. In addition, I really enjoy the seminars that are, national to international on technologies to address, particularly for us, PFAS and wastewater, and in biosolids and in drinking water, microplastics, and I'm always keeping track of AI and machine learning as it applies into the water industry. So I'll be there, unless the board has a problem with it, from approximately Saturday to Wednesday, flyback Wednesday. That ends the expense section. Next slide. I'm really happy. We're almost there with the Department of Natural Resources. We had a great conversation. We have one last tweak of language, and hopefully our last agreement will be completed. So I hate to do gonna do's. It's not a gonna do. We had a great meeting with the Deputy Secretary and the Capital Program Manager at MACO. We sat down, we talked through the last few issues, and we have our language ready to go back to them after this meeting. So hopefully they will just concur and it will get signed before the next board meeting, and I will update you. Another is I requested that Mr. Ford stay overnight one night after the Midshore Administrators meeting to see if we could have a conversation with Somerset, Wacomico, and Worcester County. Somerset and Wacomico have particular solid waste needs, and we're working on explaining to them how beneficial the Midshore Agreement has been to the 4 counties north of them, and they have been receptive. Now, Worcester, I said, hey, if you want us to pound sand, of course, we'll pound sand and walk away. They do have 23 years of capacity left in their landfill and do not have the need. But if the 3 came together, power together. Anyway, so we'll see. I did approach Baltimore City and Baltimore County multiple times. I did have a request for my knowledge of wastewater treatment assess the odors that are coming off of Back River wastewater treatment plant. And I, of course, said that, we're not under contract and, my expertise isn't free. At least other people below me should get paid. We had a great time with Chesapeake Bay Trust. Dr. Davis was there the whole time. We commiserated with Kathleen Magruder because the Solar for All program, which was part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, was struck down last month. $63 million to the Maryland Clean Energy Center, approximately $1.3 million, if my memory serves me correct, to MES for support. So, just like before I was at MES, when I did contracts, I don't count it until the invoice is actually paid in the checking account. However, you have the planned work that has already been awarded. It does sting a little bit when it shuts down. So that's enough highlights from that slide. Next slide. Interesting conversations with an NDA agreement with Clean Sweep Group Incorporated, actually a firm out in California that has the intent to provide in-house sterilization of unused medical supplies in hospitals. Yeah, it's a very unique thing. Theoretically, from the presentation from the CEO, they have sterilization techniques just like we do at the DMC, the durable medical equipment facility, where you have something that's been used, but you want to sterilize it, make sure it's clean, and it can be reused. They have that for supplies inside of hospitals where there has been where the packaging has not been opened. So interesting concept. Don't know if it'll pick up, but that's the kind of business development that I interact with. Also, SAS is a couple of staff below me don't know that they'll be going to Cecil County in October to talk with SAS about gauges and monitoring of water levels connected to NOAA weather satellites, and then hopefully MES could provide the labor to support a distributed network to monitor for flooding. And the only other thing is Workday. I was approached at MACO by theoretically the Maryland Workday rep, and they have ideas. They are putting AI upgrades into their software, and when we update twice a year, it is automatically embedded in our systems. So they wanted to come and talk. They talk to our IT and finance all the time, but it was good to talk to them. And the last one just randomly ended up sitting next to someone at a guide house, and that is they want to meet and talk about public sustainability. And yesterday, I didn't remember, but Ernst & Young also reached out through a lobbyist. I don't pay any lobbyists, just to be clear, but their lobbyist contacted us, and they wanted to talk about something very similar, which is their support of public sustainability. So that's the update for the private sector context. Next slide.
Is there anything you can tell us about your conversations with Honeywell?
Oh, yes. So Honeywell, a former master's student of mine, works for Honeywell and is applying to treat biosolids, competing to take over the drying and stabilization of dry biosolids at Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant. And, even though we are a state agency, I don't mind if we support and get the labor for said activities. I expressed to Honeywell that Baltimore City DPW does not contract with MES, and I told them all the stories, but they said they still would like us to partner with them, and that's in development. So we are bidding on, I don't know how many tens of millions the whole contract will be. They have technology that will destroy PFAS and has a history of it, but in a more clean environment, hazardous waste. And so they're putting a package together, and we're just supporting it.
Thank you.
Was there a reason you skipped that the first time around?
No, it's just a long list. I could tell you about every single one. You can quiz me on any one of those, unless it's something I have added transportation research.
No would have been fine.
All right. No, it's a complete sentence. Next slide. So I'm pleased to formally introduce to the board and our community, Ms. Sandy Hertz, Sandra, but she likes Sandy, as our new deputy director. On March 25th, 2025, we advertised for the vacant deputy position. Over the course of 8 weeks, the service received 98 highly qualified applicants. Over the next 6 weeks, the candidates' resumes were screened. 25 received phone interviews. 10 received in-person interviews by a panel of 5 senior leaders from MES and 1 guest executive from the Department of Natural Resources. And then the top 3 candidates visited MES for a half day, giving a presentation streamed to the entire agency, being taken to lunch, and having further questions. All involved in the process were instructed to evaluate the applicants based on the following attributes: strong leadership and interpersonal skills, knowledge of the principles of management and their application to actual situations, ability to effectively interact with the public, employees, peers, and offices of other governmental and business entities, ability to speak effectively before various audiences, general understanding of scientific, construction, architectural, and engineering terminology, and strong organizational ability, time management, and delegation skills. Based on the entire process, I recommended Ms. Hertz to Governor Moore for his concurrence. Ms. Hertz was the highest ranked candidate from the panel interview and received the most endorsements after the presentation to the agency. I find her to be a stalwart supporter of environmental progress in the state, and her career has included work with 3 state agencies that are major clients of MES. In her first 3 weeks, she has, through her own initiative, spoken to MDOT State Highway about continued support for USGS stream gauges, which are used to help design and correctly size stormwater infrastructure in Maryland, which aligns with some of the private entities that are looking at monitoring throughout the state. She's scheduled and met with MDE to discuss PFAS in drinking water, including one of the facilities that we have to figure out how to treat the water for. Offered support to help community water systems apply for federal grant funding to install treatment systems that are being impacted by PFAS and PFOA. And I wanted to say that Ms. Hertz serves as the chair of the ongoing Transportation Asset Risk and Resilience Project for the Transportation Research Board. The project will develop a go-to resource for assessing risk to agency assets and the traveling public from extreme weather, climate change, and other threats and hazards. She had a family event. I don't think she could come. Yeah.
She's on the line. Her camera's been going on and off.
Well, I'm not going to tell her personal business, but she's using personal leave to take care of a family thing that was pre-planned before she got the job. So I just wanted to tell you her background and give a warm welcome. She will be here next month at the board meeting. Anyway, welcome, Ms. Hertz. Secretary Florida. Next slide. Only 2 slides left. So in the interim, we had labor revenue fall short in water wastewater, and I wanted to give an update on lots of ideation and implementation of new ideas that Mr. Lipinski and I and Mr. Lipinski and Mr. Patel have gone through. So just to go through, it ended up being 9. Y'all took my numbers out. They decided bullets over numbers and comms, I guess. So first off, we've Mr. Lipinski needs support in all of the administrative functions at a high level. So we are trying a new division chief of administration in this group to help him with all of the management of the various regions, proposals, invoicing, procurement, et cetera, so that he could have a go-to person for this role and it's not put on the operational or engineering staff. We have been the first, I guess it's only been, what month are we in? We've had our rotational fellows for the last 3 months, and they are awesome. The 2 young ladies that we hired in this role are almost done with their rotation in the executive office and will be going to tests in EDR in the next quarter. One of them is already 3/4 billable, and they're awesome. So through what we're giving a young person the opportunity to learn in different sections, we're trying out an idea to do it the same in water and wastewater, where someone that's an engineering rotational fellow in water, wastewater, will get the opportunity to work in biosolids, work in administrative functions, to work at the facilities, and to get a different experience for 2 years. We're challenged by our class and comp, which we test every 2 years, to pay engineers what other entities will pay them. And so we have to do experiences. Anyway, this is working so far. We contacted many of the engineers that we did not hire because we had 43 applicants for the engineering fellow at the agency-wide rotational. We contacted them and like several of them, I believe, have already accepted. We contacted them and they're applying. So anyway, that's another asset. I can't talk about asset management engineer. So we're growing our asset management process here at MES, and we think that it would be appropriate to have an engineer that's focused on that for all 200 facilities. We have expanded our on-the-spot hiring and formalized it. And actually, there's a presentation later today going out to the whole agency. So below grade 3, a conditional offer can be made when we have it. And to do, Mr. Lipinski has come up with the idea of a group interview process. So oftentimes for our entry-level roles and OITs, we will have an interview, you get all the panel together and the person won't show up, right? We just have no-shows for some of our lower levels. So why not invite 10 people at the same time, have a program for them to be all interviewed simultaneously. Comms is working on a flashy OIT video, and we're continuing the VOTEC high school and community college recruitment across the state. We've increased access to overtime while we're short-staffed. We're low on engineers, and we're trying to get both asset management data collection completed and operations and maintenance manuals designed for every program. My 2 fellows have given me a draft of a young person program. We'll send to comms and hopefully come up with a better name for it. But and I haven't talked to Mr. Patel about this at length or at all, but we would like to, in a vein, in time, possibly hire, all of these are conditions, right? Have a pot of funds meant to hire OITs and engineers in-house in headquarters. Start them on the training process, have them shadow engineers or operations managers, leaders, senior leaders. And when there's an opening at a wastewater treatment plant or an engineering near here, they would then be able to instantly go to a billable position instead of having the delay of at least 45 to 60 days of hiring the person and putting them in. So a small investment to then get someone to be billable quicker, right? Still in development, that's why I put under development. And so then last bullet, having a formal co-op program. This has come up before, we've never completed it. Mr. Lipinski has chosen to have it stay within his hands and develop it. But we have a Howard University student who did so well this summer in our internship program that she has decided that she would like to stay a temporary employee part-time. And hopefully we will, in the next 6 months, have something to add to the compensation administration guidelines for the board to approve to have a formal co-op program so that they don't have to just be 6-month temporary employees. They can do at least a full school year or a year, and it's more formal. So we've been ideating, we've been doing some implementation, and we'll keep you up to date on how these things change. Yesterday, there were 7 onboards, which is almost a full 1% of our vacancy rate. So I've noticed a trend over the last few years that come September into summer, we really do have a pickup, and hopefully that will continue. Any questions on that slide? Flora has a question. Secretary Flora.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you. As I'm learning, about MES, this part just really excites me because this whole, I think entry and bringing folks through. I mean, you're basically running an apprentice program because people are kind of coming through, learning, and then moving on, which is really great for the state of Maryland. I wondered, have you reached out to Secretary Monterio with the Service and Civic Innovation Agency that was newly started under Governor Moore? Because it seems like there might be an opportunity there for some partnership because of the work that they're doing in terms of just fostering, young people and growing opportunities for young people in Maryland. Has that occurred?
Yes. And we have a person this fall starting in the service year program.
Yeah.
We have not pushed our program on them or, done formal outreach to say, hey, you should look at us. But we are now a registered participant in their program.
Yeah, I would definitely, consider more of a conversation with the secretary or his assistant or his deputy around how you've got this pipeline going on and bringing people in, and is there ways, to support each other, I guess, beyond just the fellows in terms of their goals and what you all do at MES. And you have a high turnover, but that's because you're basically building capacity and hopefully sending it out and staying in Maryland, in terms of people, growing capacity and finding jobs in Maryland. So I just feel like there's a bigger conversation there, perhaps.
I will make contact directly.
Yeah, let them know I mentioned it. And I think
Yes, I will drop your name.
use my name, because I'm just so excited about how that, I call it pipeline. I know it's kind of, I'm sure very time intensive, because you're constantly in this mode of bringing new people in and training them, and then they're going to leave and look for better positions. But I think that should be applauded in some ways if we can track those folks and they're landing better positions in Maryland, in terms of sort of the role it's really playing, almost as, like I said, almost like an apprenticeship program in some cases. So let's applaud it and see where we can leverage it more.
Definitely, we'll do. We'll do. I'll keep you updated on response. I'll just send an email and copy you so that, I'm really dropping your name, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's just a thought, as I hear more about what y'all do there as it relates to talent and people.
Okay. Next slide. Two things to cross over. Last year, I know it was a 4, it wasn't a 5. The value of the overhead positions that were billable, I meant to just put the number in the slide, but I do forget things sometimes, not many times. But cross out, it was between $400,000 and $500,000 how much overhead positions some of the 70 people that work in administration actually earned. And I'm scratching off the PM course in-house. We're going to have a PM introduction in-house, but we are going to continue to have to pay for an external formal course for all of the details involved in earning a PMP, but we will pay for it from our education and training program. And we're going to get more of those other things scratched off the next month. I am confident that the agreement with the final other state, and I guess for a long time I kept hidden who they were, but it's already out of the bag now, so whatever. And I know that the strategic plan, at least the outline of our whole format of the strategic plan, will be complete, or at least, the starting. They're working on that. There's a deliverable tomorrow for me, and same thing with the fleet policy. And I believe that concludes my report, Madam Chair. And are there any questions on any of the topics that I've presented? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Glass. We next have the new business report. I believe we have 4 slides to show. If anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to ask.
Two questions. The first item with Maryland Aviation Administration, is that a multi-year agreement? That's for a single year.
1 year.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what MES will be doing?
More for on-call services, so it's just a global task for any additional compliance and sustainability work that they have that comes up. It's not very specific in scope.
And then, Melissa, another one is about halfway down, task 3, updating site constraints. It's not a bad screen. I'm looking at my sheet.
MVP for
It's
planning.
with Maryland
Oh,
Department
Department
of
of Planning, that's for some of the database work that we're doing and GIS work. It's called site constraints, but it's the database site.
Planning. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Patel with the financial report. Mr. Patel, good morning.
Good morning. We finished the first month of fiscal year 26. I like first few months because I can always say that this is initial financial numbers and subject to change. But here it is, how it looks now. Fiscal year 25 actual available labor is $3,181,000. And fiscal year 26 actual is $3,344,000. Fiscal year 26 budget, which was 4% over fiscal year 25 actual, is $3,308,000. So in the first month for fiscal year 26 actual, we are doing better than fiscal year 25 actual and even better than fiscal year 26 budget. If you recall, last year, we were not meeting the budget, but now on the first month, we are doing much better than the budgeted numbers. Next slide, please.
Well, those numbers are on here.
Yeah, they're all percentage, but anyway. The second slide has the percentages. So basically, the fiscal year 26 over 25, we have increased by 5.12%. So it is better than the 4% budgeted. And so over the budget, we are 1.08%. So I want to put a smile on Matt Lipinski's face now. We used to put detail of each group. In this slide that we're missing, there's no details. We're not going to present that. But Dr. Glass mentioned exactly 9 initiatives to increase the revenues, available labor for water, wastewater. So the employee of the month goes to Matt Lipinski for July. July, his billable labor was 8% over last year, which is, seldom happens. So that was very good. As you know, water, wastewater didn't even meet their budget last year. So now, they are doing much better. All right, next slide, please. So this is fiscal year 25 versus fiscal year 24 for 1 month. The labor sales, as I just explained, is higher, but look at the billable hours. Billable hours are much higher, is 8.72% over last year, which is a very good trend. Another one is last year we saw overhead expenses were much less than the budget. The trend still continues. When we budget the overhead expense, we are not being stingy. We want to make sure that all the positions, even if they're filled, we have budget for it. And then we have, all the other non-labor expenses, all the needs are met. So we budgeted overhead expense that way. But right now, we are doing much less in the overhead expense. And you will see in the next slide, that is significantly adding to the net earnings. Other than that, the fiscal year 24 versus fiscal year 25, nothing to concern about and no major deviations. Next slide, please. So this is the first time you're seeing the full fiscal year 26 budget. We budget labor sales 45 million. Overhead recovery in 19.6 million and overhead expenses 17.9 million. As I just mentioned, it is budgeted based on all the overhead positions are filled all year long. And the overhead variance, which is our overhead recovery minus overhead expense, is budgeted at 1,700,000. Fringe recovery, usually we do not rely too much on it, so we do not budget for any net earnings from that. If you look at full year estimate, labor sales are going to be higher based on the July projection by 766,000. And the overhead expense, if we are There may be some vacancies, it may be filled 2 months later, 3 months later, but the way, if you do the straight line projection, the overhead expenses will be much less than the budgeted, which, at this time, we are, projecting the year, estimate overhead variance of 3.5 million. What it does, we had, I think a couple of lines are cut off here, but what we have is, we're increasing net assets for the month, we had 685,000. For the year, we had almost 4.5 million. And so I plan to budget at 5 million. We try hard, but we couldn't budget for 5 million net earnings because of the increase in expenses and if we fill all the overhead vacancies. So we had budgeted for 4.5 million. At this point, our estimate is we're gonna be 5.9 million. So in the first month alone, if the trend continues, will be 1.4 million more in net earnings toward the budget. So as I said, initially, this is the first month. So projections are based on 1 month, but as the time goes by, we will have more closer estimate. But we're thinking that we will definitely have net earnings more than our budget of $4.5 million. Any questions?
Just a quick one, and that's because you're having overhead positions actually generating.
Right, this overhead position generating the revenues, and that's a good point in the vacancies. So that's why that overhead position generating the revenues and even the vacancies significantly adds to the net earnings. Because that's direct savings. There's no related cost. It's just direct savings. So.
And it's, and I think of it as a 2%, 200% change in between cost and then overhead and labor pay. So labor pay, overhead, and even fringe that we don't have to like an overhead position, we're paying the fringe out of, right? So it just ends up being a significant, that's a glass innovation. But anyway, it's a significant addition. So it's encouraged amongst overhead staff to, if they are approached by primarily tests with an opportunity to still meet our environmental mission, but support one of our clients, that they are encouraged to do it. And they do.
All right, it's me again. So this is the resolution for Midshore 2 landfill extension bond. This is a resolution number 25081R. This resolution is similar to the resolution 25061R that was approved by the board in June. This supplemental resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of various documents in connection with the issuance, sale, and delivery by the Maryland Environmental Service of its revenue bonds. Here it says in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed 28 million. That's what was approved in June. That is what is listed here. Yesterday, I confirmed and informed the PFM that we're gonna go with the 3 years capitalized interest, and the bond will be very likely 24 million. So they asked me to be put this 28 million to be cautious, but all calculation determines that we're gonna issue the bond for 24 million.
So it was hard for me to get what you just got because and the information was given to me, it said from this particular one, but it didn't tell you how much was being transferred over to the new one. In other words,
Yeah.
So yes, thank you, Mr. Fuller. Dean Johnson, we added this slide for Mr. Patel to explain to you the old bonds and the new bonds.
So we are continuing the previous bonds. So we're gonna keep on paying, And the bonds have a different maturity and a different interest rate. That was surprising that by the year, they have a different interest rate. So we have a bonds that is starting like at 3.14%. And there are some bonds at 4%, and some of them accelerate to 5%, but only for a few years. So we decided that we do not want to pay off or redeem the old bonds and then borrow money to pay them off.
Yeah,
Okay.
but for what I read, we were doing that before, but you changed that. Not,
We did it in the last bond issue. Yes. We refunded the bonds, that was issued before. But then it's mainly dependent on the interest rate that what we are getting. So right now, the way it looks like we have Standard and Poor's rating meeting coming up. And if we continue with a good rating, we estimate that our new bonds will be lower interest than some of the previous bonds. So here what it shows here is we have a Series 2011 bond going on, Series 2014, Series 2018, Series 2020, and the new will come up Series 2025. So if we do for 17 years and we start paying the principal and interest on the new bond immediately, is going to be on top of those existing bonds. So what we decided with the capitalized interest, when we get this $21 million bonds and the premium and all that, it will have $3 million access on top of what we need. So that will help in the initial years to pay. And then it will level out. So we don't want to have a strain on cash balances while we are paying 4 or 5 loans. So that's why we have borrowed such a way. That's what they call capitalized interest, where for the new loan, we're not going to pay principal and interest for 3 years. We have to limit to 3 years because that's the rule. You cannot, say, hey, we're going to capitalize interest for 7 years and then we're going to start paying 10 years later. So that's why you see there's the different color bars. Then the old bonds will drop off once it's paid. But it's gonna, right now we're going to continue paying for it because it's a advantageous interest stream. Another thing we were considering that right now we're going to be constructing cell 5. Afterwards, we're going to construct the cell 1. Okay. Issuing the bond takes a lot of time and it is costly. The financial advisor, the counsel, the underwriters and all this is costly. So we are borrowing right now for current need of cell 5 and the future need of cell 1. And this excess money will earn interest. And that interest, will be, we can use it to pay off the debt. So considering all that, we decided the $24 million capitalized interest bond is the best, amount to issue right now. We don't know what kind of interest rates we're gonna get, but MES and the counties have a very good S&P rating. So we are expecting a favorable interest rate plus a premium. So you can go to the original slide. So Sean read. So another difference, between the what you approved in June and what you are approving now is that we provided you with the POS, the preliminary operating statement, the indenture of sale, the indenture of trust, and let me see that there. We POS, notice of sale, for supplementer, indenture of trust, and continuing disclosure. So you had time to study. Of course, Sean held questions. I'm going to address those in a minute, but that's the big difference. Now we say we give you what we're going to give it to the investors, to the underwriters, this is substantially completed, what you received. We call it substantially completed because we don't want to come back to you for every little word change or something. But what you received is calculated. This is what's gonna be presented to the underwriters, the investors, and so when you vote on this 2025-081R, that declares that you have received this material and it is substantially completed, and we may make change, but that the changes will not change the intent and will not be a substantial change that affects the outcome. But that's what the board need to vote on and pass the resolution. It has authorized the executive director, secretary, treasurer, and me, managing director of finance. Either of us can execute documents related to the issuance of bonds and whatever other documents are required. So there was a limit of interest on it also, 5.25%. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be under that. And there was a limit of 28 million. You're gonna be under that, as I say that. So that is basically what we are presenting to you, that you receive all the documentation that the investor is gonna receive. And these are for authorized signers. Now, Sean had questioned, the POS is 125 pages, but I guess.
Every page.
I know, no, but then you have this indenture of trust and bill of sale, and I mean, all those, is a lot of pages. So Sean had a question. On page 4 of the POS and elsewhere in the documents, there's a reference to an option redemption. The date when the option becomes available is blank. Has the date been fixed yet? If not, will it be fixed before the bonds are offered for sale? What factors are considered when fixing the date? So as for PFM, there will be a date, but it will be usually it is standard. The date is 10 years after the issuance of a bond. So it will be a date sometime 10 years after the issuance date of the bond. Second question is on page 28 of the POS. There's a discussion of the technology utilized for the design of the existing cells. And the question was, are there any significant differences in the technology being utilized for cell 1 and 5, which will be new cells from this bond proceeds from the previous cell? So the question, the answer is there are no significant technological differences in cell construction. So it will be the same technology that we used before. We are familiar with it, will be used for new cell construction. The third question was that the amount of quarterly host fees that is being paid to Caroline County. So this is new that we started paying the host fee to Caroline County, and it is not visible on the financial statements because the audited financial statements are summarized, but it is part of the line item called technical fees. And I don't remember whether if it's not in the POS, somewhere along the line, if Priscilla can remember, is it in S&P presentation? Somewhere along the line, we do give the host fee details.
Right, and I think that a little bit more about the details are in the POS, but in the financial statement summaries, that host fee is in the line item called technical and special fees. And in the conversation yesterday, we talked about footnoting all of the financial statements where that line item is noted. So to footnote that includes the host fee. So the POS will be updated with that footnote.
And the other question was on page 45 of the POS, there's a discussion of the continuing disclosure undertaking. Will this bond sale require that MES and the counties each enter into a new continuing disclosure agreements? And as for our legal counsel, yes, MES and each county will enter into a new disclosure agreement.
The form of those agreements are appendices to the POS.
And have the four Mission counties adopted all required resolutions to implement the provisions of the bond offering documents? Yes, all four counties have adopted the required resolution for to offer these bonds. So that's all the items I wanted to discuss. There's one more thing is that as far as the continuous disclosure is concerned, we are part of a DAC bond. And the DAC bond company, they send us every month the reminder that, you know, you are supposed to do this, you are supposed to file this. And we got a certificate just a few months ago for outstanding achievement in disclosing submitting all the disclosures on time. So, I mean, that would be a good selling point, you know, if anyone is, a little worried about buying our bonds, that we will meet all the requirements.
Every time you turn it around. Your hand goes up, he turns that way.
So I have a problem with the word substantial. Because it gets defined by whoever's reading the document. Being engineering type and get over a little bit so you don't get
Yeah, no, that's fine.
that what happens is technology, for example, substantial technology differences could be that the law has changed about what should be done. And would it make sense for us to footnote what we mean by that as an example? Such that if you were to retire, the next person has a different view of it, what's substantial or not. So any way we can, close that in such that we are all talking about the same level of difference.
So what we are presenting to you when we say substantially, this is for a short time. You know, that way we're gonna have a official
So
statement,
what's a
which would be
short
fixed.
time? So what's a substantial short time?
I'm trying to understand, is your question about substantial related to?
So everything that says, so natural was identified several times during his presentation. Technology was the last one, but there were other cases, substantial this and substantial that. The word is used, frequently, and it is somewhere we can further make it specific for each place we've done that, with an example is the question, so we're all on the same page.
Let me see if I can address it in two parts. I think Mr. Patel might have made reference to answering Mr. Coleman's question about the technology, and in the description in the POS, it talks about the technology that's used to construct the landfill cells and, with the leachate collection system and the double layer liner. And is there any significant difference? And I think his suggestion was whether there were any requirements that were going to require MES to build it differently. And I think the answer is MES was already using better technology than really was required at the time that some of these cells were built, and we're using the same best technology to build the new cells. It's just that we had failed to describe it that way in the document. So a notation needs to be made that the same technology, same level of technology is being used. So did I say that right, Mr. Ford?
Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. And as to these documents being substantially complete, what Mr. Patel explained was correct. And it's sort of a term of art in this bond transaction with the financial advisor and the bond counsel. This stage in the transaction, so that we don't have to come back and delay the transaction any further, and that we can go ahead and put these documents out to sale. We'll be able to, the documents are nearly final, and we'll tweak little bits of language or put in the dates for the optional redemption, which are not in there yet, but it's the 10 years that Mr. Patel said. It'll be either May 1st or November 1st of 2035. That just hadn't been filled in yet. Some of the numbers have not been completely filled in yet. But the document is substantially complete. There are not going to be any material, any material changes.
So my view about things like that is that the document should stand by itself and not require somebody behind it to explain what it meant. And we could do that with an example as a footnote, so that it's clear. What you said was clear, but it wasn't clear in the document. And it was still didn't, I got some insight based upon the responses, but it still was the word substantial, meant different from different places, and which are reasonable things. And so the question is, do we need to do that so you can feel comfortable about making decisions? Because it says substantial, and you can go make a decision. And I think we should all be on the same page that yes, we're okay with that.
So we have made the decision about the, what amount we're gonna borrow. We already made the decision on the capitalized interest. We already made the decision that we're not gonna redeem the previous bonds, okay? So all those financial decisions are already made, okay? The difference is like, Priscilla said that, we're gonna put the date for redemption, say it will be after 10 years and all that. The main concern is the time is of essence, okay? We're not certain what economic conditions will be 2 months from now, okay? And for something that is not a significant change, which will not change the intent of what we want to do, we do not want to come to the board, get for the approval. So that's why I have ethical responsibility. Dr. Glass has ethical responsibility. We're not gonna say, we're gonna change something, that is material, okay?
I think I understand Dean Johnson's question, and what he's looking for is just a note to the thing you just said, is a footnote that says, we will not change the amount, the intent, and just that, because the word substantial as a term of art, everyone could infer something different. So if you were to add a footnote that says, we will not change the amount, then I think that would provide.
Yeah, so when I say that this is the intended, calculations show that.
Yeah.
But the underwriters may decide that, we are getting better rate with some other amount. But you have approved up to 28 million. I'm being conservative to go with 24 million, based on the calculations, but we do not want to put the specific amount. Like if you have put 24,100,000, and then they decide we're gonna do 24,500,000, so that details, we do not want now. Once it's decided, then we cannot come back, because that's the bidding. What are we gonna get? We don't know. But I understand your question, your concern and all that, but as I say, basically the decision is made on the factors that matter the most.
And this is how these transactions go, so it's not something that is
Wait, they lawyers?
is the whole bond market. So when these are marketed and the preliminary official statement is marketed publicly, it's the preliminary statement that is marketed, not even the final official statement. So the bond market and the potential buyers know that this is, and the lawyers have to say, and I think it's somewhere in a certification, I was trying to find it, or the lawyer's letter, that this is the substantially final form. And so the bond market understands that as a term of art.
Would it satisfy the board if we drafted something separate outside of the document, defining substantial and addressing it, and executing that separately than a change in the document to state that we're not changing the price, we're not gonna go over the upset, we're not gonna, right? Would that satisfy?
That was that way.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
And there are other cases where we had information that was given to us that listed all the definitions. This is not a definition per se, but similar to it, so everybody knows we're talking about the same thing.
We'll draft that the next day and send it electronically and get a, and, ask for concurrence via that way, so that it's separate from the vote on the issue. It's not, we're not in a motion set, but that's a friendly amendment, you know? Excellent. Go.
There's a reference in the notice of sale to the official statement that has a note, the service has approved a preliminary official statement dated, if that's approved, that'll be dated today, which the service has quote deemed final, which is the substantially complete for the purposes of an SEC rule. So it's acknowledged by the Securities and Exchange Commission, subject to the admissions permitted by the rule. The service will provide the successful bidder such reasonable number of printed copies of the final official statement as they request. So it's acknowledged in the market and all of the rules that the service can approve this transaction by approval of the preliminary official statement in this form.
It's usually 50 pages to read, but not necessarily putting one connected to the other. Because there was, you know, in one case, you have to sign something,
Most definitely.
okay, and then the other case, you have to sign something,
Overall,
and then we have to sign something. Okay?
secretary, treasurer.
So I just wanted, okay. I understand what you're saying. I think that was suggested that we have a piece that says what generally is meant by substantial for this. That would be something that everybody know to. I would feel better that I know what that means. Because the big thing for me, the technology, you know, what you said was technology that was used previously was above what was required. And that's what we're gonna use. And when I saw it, when you said it, I said, well, the technology requirements probably changed during the difference. But when you told me we did more than we had to do, that made sense. So I think that's helpful to all of us. Because the worst thing in the world is none of us be at this table to interpret this 2 years down the road. Or you're from the last one here, I'm the one that can't remember anything anyway. But anyway, yes, I'm satisfied with the discussion. I understand that everybody, we have a way to go forward and we can go from there. And I'm sorry I was changing.
Oh, no, that's fine.
What it's about.
But I got there from you, look at my raise my hand, you turned it back. But anyway,
Great scan, Secretary Laura. Sorry.
Madam Secretary?
You're on mute, Madam Secretary.
Okay, thought I was off. Okay, appreciate the discussion. I do think this, you know, terminology of substantial is a pretty commonly used one, but in this case with a $28 million figure on this, I think my bigger question is I'm comfortable with that. I think we all need to have some understanding of, usually you can say 1% complete or something, but you know, in this case, I get it in terms of why that's needed there. Remind me again of what the process will be from here. Like at any point, there's our treasurer, our finance committee, who sees the final version, and will have the, you know, any final changes made available to them. Who on the board will see that before this is finalized and signed? I just want to understand the process at this point forward.
Priscilla, do you, because we're gonna go with the preliminary operating statement. There was a calendar somewhere along, but I don't know when exactly the official statement will be issued.
No, I don't care about the date. I want to know our process.
Well,
Who sees this again? Before, I'm totally comfortable with the fact that you can't give us the final
Yeah,
verbiage
secretary.
and there could be substantial completions. I'm comfortable with the fact that the market's changing and whatnot. I just want to know, what are the checks and balances? Who is going to see this before it's actually signed, dotted line, finalized?
Council is looking for the exact
I'm looking for the signature pages.
signature page. Generally, the secretary or the treasurer of the board would be the signatory along with the CFO, but we'll find the exact page. Oh,
Yeah, and so my point is that whatever changes are made between the version we have now and that final version signed by the secretary and treasurer or whoever on the board, I would want to know that board member, putting a lot of responsibility on that person, will know what those track changes are. And so that's our checks and balances, is to ensure that
Yeah.
whoever from the board has to sign it will have the track changes that have been made, because that puts that responsibility on that board member, but also gives us some assurance that somewhere along the way, someone is seeing those track changes before it's finalized. So that's my only question in how we move forward.
If I could add also, so a
Um,
couple things are going to happen, at least if things play out the way they have in previous bond issues. And that is that both the counsel to the service and the outside bond counsel have to issue opinions that say that they've reviewed all the documents, and that including the resolutions, and that the documents are consistent with the resolutions. So that's one of the checks that will occur. And then there are provisions for the executive director, the secretary, and the treasurer of the board to sign various documents that are related to the transaction. So those signatures don't get applied until the very end of the transaction.
And we will have already received an opinion that there, this notion of substantial, we have already received an opinion that the final form is, aligned with the resolution. And that will have gone through those checks and balances. Because that process, I think, is what's critical here. And that's good to know, because that's what's missing for me, and what we have in front of us is what's the process from here. But that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for the robust conversation. I believe, Mr. Patel, you're now looking for a motion to approve Resolution 25-08-1R.
That is correct.
I move to approve resolution 25-081R.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Is there a second?
So move.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions regarding this resolution?
I just want to say that this is, I think, a very significant milestone for MES and for the 4 Midshore counties. It took a long time to get to this point, but the leadership here and the leadership at the 4 counties recognized that staying at Caroline County for an additional period of time was the right thing to do for all the parties involved, and kudos to everyone who made that happen.
I couldn't agree more, being one of those member counties. Thank you for those comments, Mr. Coleman. And to emphasize that Kent County is one of those member counties, I will be recusing myself from this vote. And if there are no other comments, we can call the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you very much, everyone. Next, we have Dr. Gross with the Human Resources Report.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
What you have before you is the monthly headcount summary for the month of August up until this point. You will also see that when we are fully staffed, we have 857 individuals, with 817 of those being specific to MES. The active employees reflects those employees that we have in place. As Dr. Glass has already shared, yesterday we welcomed 7 additional new hires to the team. So that has reduced the overall vacancy rate that is there to 4.29 for MES overall. Additionally, our vacancies as of this morning sit at 35. And of those, we have one offer that is in process and 6 new hires. So that's slightly different from what is posted because of the new hires that we welcomed yesterday and additional movement. The next slide will just show what our vacancy is and headcounts are by department. We use that to help us identify from a recruiting standpoint where we can provide additional support and may need to look at some unique and different ways to help fill vacancies. Which feeds into the final slide, which lists what our August recruitment events are, with one of those being a diversity event, and the last one that's upcoming, the Career Transition Expo, will be focused on former federal employees who are looking for new homes. And you'll see what I affectionately refer to as our reciprocal headcount. The numbers are somewhat smaller than what you're used to seeing because we have students who have been returning to school. Questions?
Thank you, Dr. Gross.
You're welcome.
Procurement is next, and it is my understanding that Ms. Condra is not with us today in particular. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to move into the procurement items, and we do have 9 items. So starting with number 1, who is here to brief these items?
Mr. Keon Graham.
Okay, Mr. Graham, take it away.
All right, item number 1, Water Wastewater Group Engineering Service Division, City of Cambridge, wastewater treatment plant, sludge hauling services. Contractor is going to be Livingston Septic Service. The renewal amount is going to be $109,650, bringing the total contract to $219,300. And for MBE participation is going to be 0%. No subcontractor services available with this contract.
Okay, is there a motion regarding procurement item number 1?
I move that item number 1.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on procurement item number 1? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the ayes have it. Number 2, Mr. Graham.
All right. Item 2 is for the Administration Information Technology Group. Project name is going to be Verizon Wireless Cellular Data Services and Equipment Charges. Procurement method is going to be the GSA Multiple Award Scheduler number 47Q T as in Tom CA 20D00B5 awarded to Verizon Wireless. And the MB goal is going to be 0%.
Thank you. Is there a motion for procurement item number 2?
Move its approval.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I make a motion to approve item number 2.
Thank you very much. Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Wonderful. Any comments or questions?
I have a question. Just so I
Yes.
understand, when we see 0% MBE goal, is it that there are no MBEs identified as available to provide the service? Or was it not required in some other way?
So these are cell phone services, cell phone charges. It goes to Verizon.
Okay.
Verizon is the provider. They already aren't any MBEs. But it's Verizon or T-Mobile.
Right, and if they subcontract when it's on the state piggyback, GSA or anything like that, you wouldn't get the credit anyway. it would roll to the state. If Verizon uses subcontractors, we would not get any credit for it, but the state does. For large entities like that, like GSA or state schedule.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor of approving procurement item number 2, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3,
Technical and Environmental Services Group. The project name is going to be Maryland Energy Administration Home Energy Rebate Program. The estimated amount is not to exceed 15.351 million. The MB goal is 20%. And the the contract execution will not be contingent on funding from MDE. MEA, I'm sorry, MEA, sorry, I've been working at MDE. Sorry about that.
thank you. Is there a motion for procurement item number 3?
I move. For.
Yeah, no, move for.
For approval, correct.
I move to approve procurement item number 3, pre-solicitation approval.
Yes,
Thank you. Is there a second?
I have questions, that's why.
Yeah,
Second,
Second, thank you. Okay, questions? Ms. Phillip?
Yes, just generally, is this partially funded through federal funds?
100%.
100%. And based on recent discussions, is there any chance that this has an impact, receives an impact?
To date, we have not heard that it will be impacted.
Yeah.
MEA has not, they've received authorization for the funding, but they haven't actually received the funding yet. We don't have any new information that it's not coming through, so we're moving forward as if all systems are go. We won't issue a contract for this work until MEA has the funds in hand and we have an approved task for those funds. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of procurement item number 3, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Number 4, Mr. Graham.
All right. The next group is going to be the Environmental Operations Group. Project name is the Midshore 2 Construction Policy Insurance Services for construction of Cell 5. Procurement method is going to be the AE shortlist. This contract is going to be awarded to Geosyntec Consulting Firm. The amount is going to be $333,671. And the MBE goal is going to be 4%. And the reason for this goal is there's limited MBE participation due to only item to outsource is soil lab testing.
Thank you. I will be recusing myself from this vote. Is there a motion regarding procurement item number 4?
I move to approve item number 4.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Excellent. Any questions or comments for Mr. Graham? And hearing none, all those in favor of approval of procurement item number 4, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. And, oh, sorry, excuse me, strike my vote. I was on autopilot there for a moment. I am not voting. I am recusing myself from this vote. Any opposed? Okay, and the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Number 5.
Number 5, the next one is going to be for the Environmental Operations Group. The project name is the Eastern Correctional Institution Generation Facilities. Contract was awarded to Premium Power Services LLC. The amount is for $365,050. And this had an MBE goal of 0%, and it was due to the specific nature of the maintenance required on this project.
Okay, is there a motion regarding procurement item number 5? Okay, hearing no motion, is there?
Item number 5.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Are there any questions? Yes,
Yes,
Madam Secretary.
Yeah, I just wanted to
I have,
confirm, I thought I heard the word Easton, not Eastern. I want to just confirm that this is correct on the project name.
It is Eastern.
Eastern.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Well,
Coleman?
yes, there's a significant spread between the various bids or proposals. Is there any explanation for that?
Or, certainly, Premium Power is the incumbent. They currently hold the contract for that work. Their prior contract prior to this award was for $297,000, so it's about a $70,000 increase over the prior contract. They're very familiar with the work. This is a unique piece of work, as Tina referenced. It is within a medium security prison. It's inside the gate. There's certain requirements for that. It's medium voltage, meaning it's high voltage. When I say medium, that means high voltage, meaning you have to have certain certifications. And I suspect the other vendors were, if I can get it for this, great. And the bid of that's considering where it is, it's remote, it's in the lower shore. And so is this an opportunistic bids, higher bids? But it is in line with what our current contract is worth.
Thank you.
Excellent question. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of procurement item number 5, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, unanimously approved. Procurement item number 6.
Item number 6 is a renewal. This also is for the Environmental Operations Group. Project name, the Household Hazardous Waste Collection and Disposal at Brown Station Road Sanitary Landfill. The contractor is ACV Environmental Services, Inc. This is going to be for option year 3. And the amount of this renewal is $737,253.79, bringing the total revised contract amount to $4,643,495.11. The MBE goal for this particular project was 18%. To date, it's at 15.25%. And also I want to add, ABC has been operating under a CAP, which is a corrective action plan, since March of 2023. ACV has added new MBE vendors and effective to comply with the CAP. They have improved their MBE participation from 2.4% in July of 2023 to 15.25% in July of 2025.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion regarding procurement item number 6?
I move
Thank you. Is there a second?
to approve that word.
Second.
Wonderful. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the ayes have it. Number 7.
All right, number 7 is also for the Environmental Operations Group Engineering. Project name is Prince George's County MRF tipping floor restoration. Procurement method is going to be assisted procurement, Sourcewell. Contract number is going to be MD-R3-GC-030425-JAN. It's going to be awarded to Janus Contractors, Inc. The amount is going to be $850,568.91. And this is going to have a 12% MBE goal.
Okay, is there a motion regarding procurement item number 7?
I move for the.
Thank you. Is there a second?
No, catch up.
Second.
Second. Are there any questions or comments?
I have a question. There was only one proposal that was submitted.
Well, this one was an assisted,
Assistant.
yes, assisted procurement, yes.
Question.
I will add that Janice is a MD. Oversee that all.
Has the question been answered?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, it got really quiet. Are there any other questions regarding procurement item number 7? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And the ayes have it. Number 8.
Number 8 is also for the Environmental Operations Group. Project name is the Prince George's County Organic Composing Facility, Prince George's County Material Recycling Facility. This procurement method is going to be a cooperative agreement with Northeast Waste Disposal Authority. It's going to be awarded to WM Recycle America LLC. The amount is going to be $336,180. And there is a 0 MBE goal for this. Regarding the MBE, there is no facilities that exist that are MBE/SPR designated and capable of processing the capacity required.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion regarding procurement item number 8?
I move to approve procurement item number 8.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments, items for discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval of procurement item number 8, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Procurement item number 9.
This one is a change order. And this also is for the Environmental Operations Group. The project name is the Eastern Correctional Institution Facility. The contractor is going to be WGL Energy Services, Inc. The amount of the change order is for $4,221,434, which bringing the total contract to $10,748,169. This change order extends through June 2027.
Okay, is there a motion for procurement item number 9?
I move to approve procurement item number 9.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Any comments or questions?
A question?
Yes,
In
sir.
In the remarks section, next to the last sentence is no financial purchases are made. What does that statement mean?
I don't have an answer for that right now, but I can get that for you. Okay.
Madam Secretary?
Yes, I'm still, need a little bit more information on this one. So as I understand it, the original term was January 25 through June 26. We're modifying the term for another year, basically, but adding $4 million to the cost. I'm still a little unclear as to what the added $4 million is actually paying for.
This is for the physical purchase of natural gas at the Eastern Correctional Institution.
You either need to speak louder or get closer to the mic.
The way you purchase natural gas, there's a number of different things you have to purchase when you're purchasing gas through the state contract. This is for the physical purchase of gas, not for the conveyance of that gas or the use of the pipeline, which are separate charges. So basically you buy these through the state contract through basically the bid. And so we purchased the first 6 months under the original agreement, and we're purchasing the balance of the year. You can have that written dates. We're purchasing the balance of the year through a futures bid through WGL Energy for the physical purchase of the gas itself.
So help me out. I'm sure this all makes sense to you all, but because it's a cogen facility, aren't we generating
Electricity
And steam.
and steam from natural gas. The facility was converted from wood burning to natural gas over the last 5 years. And
Okay.
And the what's being described is the Department of General Services involved in this at all?
It's a state contract.
So I believe that all of the fuel contracts are held by the Department of General Services, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put that caveat, but so this is when we write state assisted contract, it's a part of a bidding process, and we're allocating it for the full year going through the winter, which is why it's done in this manner.
Okay. Okay. So it was converted from wood as a cogen facility to now natural gas fed. And this is for the purchase of the actual gas to fuel this.
Fuel for the boilers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So help me out again. The energy that's being generated, where's that going?
To the prison. So it's
Okay.
providing steam for heat and for
Mhm.
laundry and for cooking. And,
Okay.
and it's co-generating electricity to power everything with redundancies of backup from, well, either electric transmission, electricity transmission. But in the lower shore, when this facility was developed, it was said that there'd be step downs in case there are losses of power. But generally, we're providing 100% power through this plant, through this power plant.
Okay. Yeah. I
There's
mean,
backup-
one of the reasons I'm flagging it is obviously our climate goals and just what are the power sources. And, I'm familiar with cogen, so I'm just trying to get a better understanding of this facility and how it's operating in terms of how that equates over to our climate goals. And do we have any metrics or anything to show the amount of carbon reductions or, demand side reductions or anything. And that's bigger than this resolution is asking for. It's just why I'm inquiring a little bit is to learn more about this facility.
Yeah, we also produce a greenhouse gas report annually as part of the 2021 Reform Act. So we've produced 3 of them, and we do document in all business line, all 4 groups, what we're doing and how we're assisting. And we can brief you on that. We also had to provide briefings over the course of 4 years to justify both this pipeline and the conversion. There's always, you can always, there's lots of different issues, but when it comes to large prison facilities, you cannot depend. So far, you cannot depend only on renewables. But that's I'm not. I take no stance on it either way. It's just that the numbers don't match yet. But,
yeah, and I wouldn't debate that either. I agree. We need reliability. And I think, so I totally get that. I think generally I was just kind of curious about the energy and supplies demand side. Okay, let's proceed. Sorry to hold that up. I just wanted to learn a little bit more about this one. I'll look forward to the GHG report. Thank you.
Good questions. And from time to time, MES has offered board members tours of the facility that are quite educational. So maybe in the near future, this one could be put on the list for a tour again.
Sure.
Yep. Thank you.
All those in favor of approval of procurement item number 9, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you very much, Mr. Graham. And next up, we have 2 pages of procurement notifications. So if you'd like to take a moment and look those over, feel free to ask any questions or make any comments. And hearing none, next up we have the legal report by Ms. Carroll. So good morning, Ms. Carroll.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. The first thing I wanted to let you all know is that our office is going to be short-staffed again for a little while. Christy Fisher resigned to take a job in the private sector, so we wish her well and appreciate the 4 years that she was with us as an assistant attorney general. And we have been given permission, in spite of the state hiring freeze, we've been given permission to advertise for the vacancy and fill the position. So the advertisement has not gone out yet, but we hope that will be soon. And then we'll have an interview process. And so it'll probably be sometime in October at the earliest before we get a new person on board. And the next thing that we have is some updates to the board bylaws. They were all proposed in your packet. The bylaws do require at least 21 days that the board have the proposed revisions for at least 21 days before you vote. So we're providing them to you today, and you all would not be expected to vote on them until the September meeting. But I just wanted to mention a couple of the updates and invite any questions. I do notice that the red line versions states that they are last updated August 21st. That's today's date. That will be moved to September. Same thing at the end of the document. It says it's revised August 21st, but that will be September. So these updates are proposed to account for the changes in the MES Act that were made during the 2025 legislative session that removed the state treasurer from the MES board and added Secretary Flora as the secretary or the secretary's designee to the board. So some of those changes just take those legislative changes into account. We've added some headings into the document to distinguish between voting and non-voting members. The 2 added members of the General Assembly are non-voting members. They're advisory members for the board. To my knowledge, they have not been appointed yet. There can be 1 member from the Senate who will be appointed by the President of the Senate, and there can be 1 member from the House of Delegates appointed by the Speaker of the House. There's an added section 3.03 that addresses the General Assembly members. There's some specificity about added specificity about the term of board members. Some other just clarifications, adding some words to specify the board's clerk. There, and the bylaws had said that the board would establish a protocol for public participation or public comment. So that protocol has been proposed as well. So the bylaws are amended to address that, and that it's at the board's discretion and the board chair's discretion as to whether or not in any meeting to allow public comment.
Ms. Carroll,
Those are the key changes until we get to the protocol. Yes, ma'am.
do we ever have public members that want to participate? Have we had requests?
Not during
Not-
my 5 years, Madam Chair.
Not that
thank you.
I'm aware of.
I, having attended a couple meetings in the past, I'm aware that we, in about a period of 35 years, I think, we had 2 meetings where members of the public, came. They did not indicate they wanted to speak. They came more to listen, but they were invited to make a comment by the chair of the board at that time. And those were both non-controversial matters.
Thank you.
So the protocol is attached with the proposed bylaws to allow a public comment period at the discretion of the chair. This is a 30-minute public comment period. It probably should say not to exceed 30 minutes. We could clarify that. If anybody has any other questions or comments? Yes, Dean Johnson.
I don't want you to feel left out. So when I read this, it appears as though the officers that were selected at the last meeting is still consistent with what would be once this is approved.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So
That, it doesn't change that there shall be a chair, a treasurer, and
what
secretary.
I'm saying is, I didn't see that. I saw everything we did last week would still be applicable if we did under this. is
Yes.
what I was-
Yes,
That's why I just wanted to make sure I found out we were okay, and didn't have to go back and do it again.
yes, no, we don't.
Thank you.
Secretary Flora has raised her hand.
Madam Secretary?
Yeah, I just noticed something that's kind of curious. In section 801, it says the bylaws may be amended by affirmative vote of the majority of the voting members. But previously in the document, it refers to 5 members of I'm trying to find the rest of it because I'm sort of coming up to speed here. There's 5 members referenced earlier. So I was just curious about the differential, or maybe I'm just reading it wrong.
One is for the quorum, which can be the non-voting. The other one was to vote on a particular activity.
Right.
That's all.
It can read however the board deems fit.
Well, I just thought there should be consistency. I mean,
I believe the 5-member requirement was in the statute for approving items, procurement items before the board. This section 808 looks like it applies just to approval of bylaw changes.
right. Typically a bylaw change, if anything, requires more. And I was just, I just noticed it. So maybe there's a reason for it to be worded that way. I just saw it as a kind of a different from the previous. It seems like we'd want consistency and if anything more
Yeah.
for a bylaw change is the only thing I was.
We can certainly change it.
We'll change it back. We'll change it to the supermajority.
Yeah, the edit is to add the words majority. I'm just confused about this edit.
good question. I would definitely say that correct me if I'm wrong, but it is the discretion of the board how we want this to read.
Completely.
So if we would like it to read by 5 or more members, like the other votes, I believe that is up to us. Any other comments
Yeah, I
from
think
members?
Just consistent. I don't have a preference, just consistent.
Oh,
Anyone else?
Madam Chair, well, not on this issue. If we're done with this issue, I have another one. Because I often think about your presentation on Robert's rules. And at the bottom of page 6, there's a reference to Robert's rules. Should we add a statement in there that the bylaws are subject to the revised version of Robert's Rules of Order as modified by the board? I think that was a comment made at our training recently.
I like that one as well. Very few boards run by the strict rules of Robert's rules. And I do think it should be noted that that is not the intention here. Anyone else?
Agreed. I actually saw that. Didn't say so.
I agree.
So it sounds like there's consensus on the last 2 items that have been discussed for potential changes. Now, if for edits to these edits, do they need to come back to us next month in written form and then approved at the following meeting? Or can we use this meeting to discuss them even though they're not in writing?
Yeah, I think we will make the changes that are discussed and suggested today, and then they can be sent out pretty quickly so that the board will have them 21 days or more before the next meeting.
Perfect. Are there any other comments or questions? And hearing none, I appreciate everybody's input on this particular item. Obviously, this is very important to us, and I believe we have strengthened them even more. So thank you. And we are now up to old and new business. Dr. Glass is going to start us off with the best FY26 goals updated version.
thank you, Madam Chair, and board. Next slide. Unless someone pauses, I'll not reiterate all of them again. This first page, the board made no suggestions to changes to 2 evacuation drills, hazard communication training, and certified confined space training certification. So unless there's a new comment, we will believe those are good. Next slide. In the goal 2 for education, there was a suggestion by the board in bullet 3 to change recruits to select 10. And so we made that change to select 10 with non-supervisory employees to present training or tailgates. And then for the 4th bullet, we heard the board's suggestion. We would like to leave it at 75%. However, we have some other language if the board would like it better. All of our staff do not use a laptop daily, and there are some sites where we actually have our timesheets even implemented through a timekeeper. So there are some staff that are not regular laptop or phone users. So, but we could do all staff that are assigned a laptop and phone, but it would be very difficult. We could do group style trainings and have non-IT laptop and phone users get trained. But we would recommend and would hope the board would agree that the goal of having 75% of our staff complete the required training, cybersecurity training would be appropriate. So that one we definitely need to, we'll request any discussion or any questions from the board. Or board feels 75% would be a agreeable.
I guess I have a question as to why it would be a challenge to have everyone who has a laptop comply.
It would not be challenging for everyone to have a laptop apply. That is one of my alternatives that
Oh,
we didn't
yes.
write down.
Okay,
So we could do 100% of laptop recipients
yeah,
because we basically do that already, not to sugarcoat it, but you know, we do it close to 100%. We just would put the hammer down for those that do not complete it.
yeah, I think, I mean, in my opinion, the 100% of people who have a laptop ensures protection of the system.
Yeah.
As opposed to the kind of the broad 75% where it leaves a little bit of room for.
I can't disagree with that. I think that's a really good suggestion.
Excellent.
It be laptop or just computer? Because there are a number that do not have laptops but are using CPUs. Are you using it interchangeably?
We're using a laptop and desktop ubiquitously, so we can just say computers.
I concur. I think that's a good idea.
Just think in terms of laptops, but computers.
Comment, once we say computers, I think what you've done is said everybody now.
No.
I know that's not the intent, but it's like people who have computers. Okay, but some of them have computers when they go back to the office.
No, we have staff that do not have an assigned computer
Okay.
or phone.
And they never use one to do anything.
They don't use them. They clock in and they
Like
have
a
a,
time.
even for our workday where we do our timekeeper, they have a timekeeper. So they have a administrative assistant that does that for those staff members. They're operating heavy equipment, they're laborers. They don't.
Yeah, I guess when you see the word cybersecurity, people do it at home or wherever, not they're going back and forth to what happens here. But I was thinking that they would benefit from some training. And I guess they can do it if they want it and not be a part of the count here.
But of course, we would not exclude any staff from participating in it if they wanted to join in. 100% and computers. That would be the request when we get to the point of voting. All right. Next slide. So we have changed the EEO training on this slide to a goal 100% completion within a reasonable time frame for EEO to host the training. So yes. We had 6 months still, go to 100% as suggested from the board. We would like to request that, the timing of hosting, if we're not going to make it virtual, is just, that's the only caveat, but we accept the challenge, or they do. I'll just make sure it happens.
I'm gonna piggyback on Dean Johnson's earlier concern about the flexibility of substantial in the choice of reasonable. Is
Okay.
that I would be fine with reasonable if I knew what we were saying was deeming it reasonable. So if it's the executive director is deeming it reasonable, or
Well, we'll stick with 6 months.
okay, thank you.
No, I don't mind a stretch goal, right? These are 4 too, so
Thank you.
6 months from the approval of the board. Thank you. Or, I'm sorry, 6 months from the start date for the person. Okay. And next slide, no changes were suggested for our community engagement drives. Hopefully, for those that are present, you've seen our school drive out front. Health and wellness based run walk festivals and the Maryland Capital Charity Campaign. Excuse me. Next slide. And then now, MES will host an educational activity or event in recognition of Endangered Species Day, the third Friday of May. We recommend keeping this goal as is, as there are no separate Maryland-based holidays for endangered species. MES will acknowledge these days regardless of changes to the federal calendar. And lastly, MES will host an event for American Recycle Day, November 15th, allowing opportunities for employees to recycle and donate reusable items, including technology, clothing, etc. And we recommend keeping this goal as is. There is no separate Maryland-based holiday. MES will acknowledge these days regardless of any changes to the federal calendar as well. So third Friday of May and November 15th. And we have pathways to greatness or success. Commons puts out a periodical and we regularly show free cycle. I reviewed it the other day and it's got free cycle access in the entire central region all over the state. So we support reuse constantly. But those were all of the changes and suggestions. 6 did not have, next slide. There were no suggestions for changes for administrative enhancements. So for our FY26 goals, Madam Chair, I would request a vote from the board and acknowledge the one adjustment to computers and 100% for goal 2, cybersecurity training.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the goals as amended for this conversation today?
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'm nailing it today.
But you're supposed to say what you're proposing to. That's okay.
Did we get a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. Are there any other comments or questions before we take a vote? And hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Dr. Glass. And Ms. Fuller is now showing the proposed board meeting schedule. Ms. Fuller, do you have any comments?
I did not receive any comments to the dates that were chosen, so if this works for everyone, I would just suggest we just implement it, but maybe not vote, because if we vote, then we might have to vote on any changes.
Good point.
Madam Chair, I just want to
Yes.
along to others. You know, when I looked this, of course, I looked at the calendar and make sure it worked. April the 30th was the 5th. I know, goddamn, was the 5th Thursday. But the goal, but the bylaw said it should be the last, which this is, that we should meet the last Thursday of each month, which makes April the 30th okay. And when I got my computer and said, you know, keep all the 4th Thursdays open. I said, wait a minute, something was wrong. But anyway, it follows the bylaws as stated, and let others know in case you do like I did and check it out. That's nothing to change, just
An observation.
Observation, thank you.
Thank you. Any other observations or comments? Okay, thank you. We will move forward with this being our proposed meeting schedule for calendar year 2026. And next, we're going to move into our group updates, and I believe we're going to start with water, wastewater today.
Madam Chair and board members, I wanted to introduce Bob Barnhart to y'all. He's our environmental system supervisor for the central region. And we talked about it a little bit earlier about the pipelines that we're trying to build with various areas. And turns out that not only is he a a regional or assistant regional supervisor. He's also one heck of a storyteller, because I got to hear this at the pre-board meeting. So without further ado, I'm gonna have Bob step right on up here and give you guys an amazing story about one of the student tours we had at the Highland View Academy.
Thank you, Mr. Lipinski.
Thank you for the opportunity. Presentation gonna be on Highland View Academy. It's a campus that we acquired about a little bit over a year ago, about 14 months ago. Highland View Academy is a small private school tucked back in the woods at the western foot of South Mountain in Washington County near Smithsburg. The campus is comprised of a grade school, which is K through 12, a church, a large summer camp facility, and a bakery. MES has operated the wastewater treatment plant there for just over 1 year. And that year, MES's team quickly enhanced the treatment process back to full compliance and made many safety improvements that were well needed. Each board meeting, I'm sure you guys hear of the many success stories of the field facilities and of the great MES operators that are highly highlighted each month. Highland View Academy is another one of those success stories where the dedicated MES team uses ingenuity and experience to turn an old 1967 failing wastewater plant back into a viable, fully compliant, and safe plant. Much as I want to tell you about that, that's not what we're going to present to you this morning. Next slide, please. In efforts to promote the career of a water and wastewater operator, we had an opportunity to offer a tour to the students and staff of the school, and they gladly accepted. On May 20th of this year, we had 21 students and 2 teachers visit their own campus's wastewater treatment plant. The students were surely grateful not to be indoors on that beautiful day, yet possibly not very excited to be touring a wastewater treatment plant, as they really didn't know what to expect. The class they were representing was 9th grade environmental science. Their teacher led the students as they walked quietly down the road from the school to the wastewater treatment plant. I noticed they're very quiet. I have twin freshmen right now, and they're never quiet. So we barely heard them coming. So we met them outside, me and some of the other MES employees. We greeted them with enthusiasm. As I do with many tours, I began with the raw water end of the facility to explain. To make the tour interesting, I engaged the class with questions and encouraged their questions. I always assume many people do not know or care where their drain water flows to from their houses or schools. As a wastewater operator for 29 years, I always want to educate others of what they should and should not send down the drains of their sinks and toilets. Next slide, please. As we went from the raw area of the plant through the aeration tank and the clarifier, some science of our job was also discussed. Their teacher interjected some questions to them from some of their earlier classroom discussions. Many questions and discussions began here from the class. The operating team on site set up some clear glass jars of wastewater of the aeration tank liquid and the effluent to show the process sequence in real time. It was great to see that the class was very interested to watch the aeration jar settle so clearly. A memorable comment from one of the gentlemen was that they didn't smell anything, as they expected it would stink at the plant. I explained that a well-maintained and healthy plant will react this way, and in the jars, and the plant does have limited odors. It was a great observation, and I showed my appreciation to his comment. Next slide, please. The last stop in the tour brought the class into the small laboratory of the treatment plant. We explained the discharge permit, the need for it, and the impact of non-complying discharges to the receiving streams. Many of the students knew about algae and how it thrives from nutrients. I explained that too many algae will deplete oxygen from the streams and impact fish and other water creatures. The discussions of the lab equipment that we use, how we use it, and why we use it also took place. We showed the class some diagrams of the microorganisms that are found in the aeration basin. Some of the class even took advantage of looking through a microscope setup to have a try at finding some of these microorganisms. To explain some of the training that we as operators use to maintain our operator certifications, the class was shown the multiple textbooks we use. We also explained how we obtain our jobs as operators and what it takes to begin a career in the water and wastewater field. Last slide. As we wrapped up the tour, the group was given some MES giveaways such as notepads, slap bracelets, and small flashlights And the hit of the show was the MES keychain whistles. The class definitely did not leave as quietly as they arrived. The teacher did give them some warnings about the whistles in school. So as the whistling ninth grade environmental science class left to head back to school, they were very appreciative of our engaging and enthusiastic showcasing of their school's treatment plan and giving them the opportunity of the visit.
Thank you, Mr. Barnhart. Any questions?
Any questions about that?
I'm not sure the board members have received said whistle keychains. That could be dangerous. Next up, I believe, Mr. Ford, will you be introducing our next subject?
I sure will, Madam Chair and members of the board. I want to introduce you to Dave Postomsky. Dave reminded me that he came to MES 17 years ago. He promptly left us, chasing his wife to New York, where he spent 5 years as a practicing engineer. And when he and his wife relocated back to Maryland, we were more than happy to bring him back on board. Dave runs our Hartford County integrated solid waste management operation. And he's going to talk to you a little bit today about converting their old school windrow composting operation to a state-of-the-art aerated static pile system. So Dave, it's all yours.
I'll stand, it's fine. All right, thank you, Mr. Ford. I went up there chasing a then girlfriend, now wife.
Yes.
So-
I'm sorry.
Right, but I'm back. So want to go to the next slide. So we operate, integrated solid management, solid waste management, as Tim said. That includes a homeowner convenience center, an active landfill, and the mulch and compost facility. So we take in about 30,000 tons of material, well, 30,000 yards of material each year. We take it free from Hartford County residents. It's charged for commercial people, and we turn it into mulch and compost. So we had exclusively used windrows for time immemorial up there, which is a batch process. Every 3 months, we're producing 4,000 to 6,000 yards of compost. But it's got its limitations. So we look to the future, we look to our other operation sites to see, what they were doing, and decided to go down a different path. And Hartford County was, a good partner in that. Next slide, please. So, my video did show up. So this is what we do. This is our compost product here. We do sell it very modestly priced. The goal is so that Hartford County residents can get compost whenever they need it for a reasonable price, or they can come get it for free. We have free pickup stations for all residents. And we sell about 10,000 yards per year, and it's a registered product as Hartford County Compost. I know MES has talked about possibly getting leaf grow up there, but Hartford County likes to sell their own products. So next slide, please. So we had to make a decision between continuing with windrows or moving towards the aerated static pile. There are pros and cons for each of them, but we're at a point where we either purchase a new windrow turner or we change operations to be more flexible, let's say. So as you can see, the efficiency, we're about halving our maturity time on compost. We have the flexibility to add different feedstocks, possibly food scraps in the future. And there's just more technology involved. So you'll see the setup that we have in a minute, but we're completely off the grid. We don't have electrical hookups there. So we were able to get a solar powered unit with a sea container full of batteries for on-demand power, constant temperature and oxygen monitoring. So it's, we have more of a handle on, the everyday operation, and more flexibility to introduce, new things as needed. Right now, we are limited with how much compost we can produce because of the amount of grass we bring in. That's our only source of nitrogen without adding a different feedstock, which we couldn't do with the windrows. Then we'll never be able to produce more compost, which is the goal. Next slide, please. So we came up. We've talked about this for years, but we came up with the action plan to actually make it happen in the second half of last fiscal year. Approached Hartford County, talked budget, how much room we have, set an aggressive schedule. As you can see, we didn't set the proposal till April of 25, and we needed it installed and paid for by the end of June 25. So I hurried up and got my board item in April, I believe. Used existing operational funds, and the intent was to slow roll into fully integrating the system into the aerated static pile system. So we're starting at one heap at a time, but we bought the infrastructure, the solar panels, the battery banks that we could power 4 to 5 heaps, and that will meet our production for windrows, and then we can completely transition over. The plan is to just add another heap each year until we meet our production needs. And it is it's a good opportunity and a good a good story for the county and for MES that we have this permanent solar powered composting system, and a nice sea container that we're going to be proposing to use as like an art project for like local kids if they want to build a mural or whatnot on it. But it's I think it's a win for everybody. Next slide, please. So we did our first test batch starting in June. We're actually finishing that up right now. As you can see, this is the technology. I just took a screenshot of the monitoring that we're doing actively, real time, hourly, daily. So you can see our temperatures, our oxygen. This software records when we've hit PFRP, which is legally required to sell the compost. It has to be over a certain temperature for a certain period of time to show that the pathogens have been burned out. So this is what we're looking at on a daily basis. This is our first one. I know down in Western Branch, they have probably 12 of these operating at the same time, but we're dipping our toe into it. And luckily I did get some experience with Baltimore County just prior to this, where we're running a pilot project, doing something very similar. Next slide, please. This is our cover, that's our container full of our battery banks and our solar array. I tried to get the MES truck right in the front.
It will not advance.
Oh,
Right.
you're hovering on top of the thing. There you go.
So this is what it looks like inside. These guys on the pile over here, they're messing with the oxygen and temperature probes. These battery banks are specifically built for to be rechargeable off the grid. Got some transformers for stepping down power. The problem was we're far away from where we need to be for power, and we would need 3-phase to run this thing. So we need significant investment in electrical infrastructure to get this over here. So we thought this was a good solution, and it also provides us the flexibility to move, if needed. So there is a framework and a plan to experiment with different feedstocks, including food waste. Some other things have been thrown around. Horse manure, stall waste. Harford County is a very rural county with a large horse breeding presence up there. But like I said, we're trying to increase our production. So in order to do so, we need to be more flexible about what we take in. So then in addition to all of this, so the plan was to add 1 more bunker each year until we meet our current capacity. At the same time, I had applied for a Swiffer grant for Harford County back in December of 24, and that's for going for the large scale in-ground concrete bunker system that we have down at Western Branch. And that's currently progressing, and in June of 25, we were informed by the EPA that we had meted their threshold and we were still in consideration for the grant. And that should be coming out later this year. I think it was December of 25. They were looking to go to the next step of award. And if we were awarded that, then this would work in tandem with the concrete bunker system. I think that might be it.
Thank you. Any questions?
Questions?
Sure.
Where is this facility located?
So this is in Harford County, the northern part. The town is called Street. It's connected with their county landfill.
Okay.
So my office is actually just beyond that pile over there. But it's the only landfill and county mulch facility in Harford County.
And where the feedstock, is that just what shows up at the gate, or does Harford County have systems in place to collect various kinds of feedstock?
The county itself actually it differs from other counties in that they don't have collection. It's all private enterprise, for hauling in the county. Now some of the townships like Havre Grace, Aberdeen, they have their own and they bring their feedstocks here. But for the most part, it's dropped off by residents or by commercial entities at our facility here. And there's a facility in Bel Air, on Tollgate Road that's only for residents where it's just more convenient for them to drop there and we transport it to here for processing.
They don't do residential collection at home, but they do have a drop off.
Yeah. Thank you. So, oh, I believe Matt's pretty familiar with the facility up there.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So, one of the goals is to be able to incorporate food scraps into the compost system. We weren't able to do that with the Windrose system. And have the result of nuisance conditions that generated through all of that. So this allows them in that next step to start looking at waste diversion and getting that material out of their solid waste stream.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Is Ms. Stolinar still in the room?
I am. Hello. I'm happy to introduce Amy Warner, a division chief in environmental dredging and restoration. She oversees the EMS remediation section, the survey section, and the engineering section. Amy herself is also an engineer. She's been with MES for 20 years now. Started, I think, at Hart Miller, maybe. Understand? And has been providing excellent service for MES's clients. Happy to have her.
Thanks, Arnie. So this month's, we can go to the first slide, sorry, if you can move it. This month's EDR update is on the stormwater support services that MES provides the Maryland Port Administration, their Office of Environment, Safety, and Sustainability, primarily to help with compliance related to the municipal separate stormwater system that they have for 13 of their facilities, and also the general permit for discharges for stormwater associated with industrial activities. This is a long-term project that MES has had, providing on-site staff support. We have 3 people that work directly in a PA's office there, providing these services. Next slide. So to meet the permit requirements, we have a number of different services that we provide. The first one I'll go over is inspections. We provide best management practice inspections to their BMPs, best management practices. Includes sand filters, retention ponds, bio retention areas, and swales. They have 34 of these that they inspect on a quarterly basis, and they're mainly looking for the presence of invasive and unwanted plant and animal species, erosion, spills, or any inadequate vegetation or trash, to make sure that the BMPs are functioning properly. The team also completes tenant area inspections. Maryland Port Administration is a landlord port, so they rent their spaces to marine terminal operators and stevedore companies that operate and move the cargo around the facilities. So we inspect 22 different areas covering 17 tenants. And then in addition, we do storm drain outfall inspections that look for the evidence of pollutants discharging to surface waters of the facilities, looking for the condition, making sure that there's no erosion or other issues. And next slide. Continuing on the services they work on, our main reporting that we do every year is the annual MS4 report that needs to be submitted. That again covers these 13 facilities. So it's a pretty comprehensive report. Covers everything from the personal education and outreach work that was done during that year. Also, any work that was done on the illicit discharge detection and elimination system, the stormwater construction reporting that MPD does. So that is submitted each year. Sorry. We don't know that actually works.
Look into that out. Let's not.
Should I try the other one?
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
Hey, tech. Yeah.
Or. We're meeting. Right. The next slide. We lost. Oh, sorry. The last slide I have. Nope. I don't know what doesn't work either. Powered monitor. Wait, don't fast.
One here.
Over there. This is the last slide I have. Great. Yeah, do we just go? Straight? Yeah. Okay. Go there. Oh, okay, good, sorry.
Well, we still have battery.
Well, we still have battery, okay, great. So, and lastly, we also assist with stormwater structure and BMP maintenance. We complete invasive species control, and this is twofold, to help with, make sure we have healthy, good plants in the BMPs, but also to help prevent invasive species from going onto seeds, from going onto the cargo. We've had problems in the past with Phragmites and goldenrod going onto cargo and then having to be shipped overseas and having to be decontaminated there. So we want to prevent that from happening. We also help with filter replacements and cleanings. Due to limited space in the marine terminals, and as you can see in the pictures, most of it having to be paved, it's valuable cargo space. We don't have a lot of space for retention ponds and large scale BMPs that take up a lot of real estate type area. So a lot of them are underground, and the team helps with helping with the filter replacements, to do storm drain system cleanings. And then lastly, we've helped, the picture all the way on the end was a stormwater sand filter BMP that was had to completely rebuild after construction activities. And the team went ahead and used that opportunity to put together a planting plan and plant some native species in a pollinator garden in the middle of the marine terminal, which is not usually seen. That's all I.
So to note, you had an earlier photo, and of course, I think we all noticed the key bridge in it. Is this the finished product here?
Yes, that
Okay.
is, yeah. Catch on that.
Excellent. That might be because I
Thank you, Ms. Warner. Are there any other questions?
get peeved by excitement.
Okay, is Ms. Slatnick in the room?
I'm here. Cam is struggling. I don't want to stress her out too much. My presentation this month for TES is very similar to EDR's. We are going to be talking about stormwater as well. Give Pam a second, see if it catches up. The project I'm going to focus on is our work for St. Mary's County, where we assist them in response to their federal requirements for the MS4 permit, which is municipal separate storm sewer system. MS4 for sure. No. Oh. Okay, do you want me to save it or do you want to just wing it? Pictures are easier.
Yeah, so why don't we'll describe the stormwater system, or our stormwater assistance to St. Mary's County next month.
Okay.
As,
To be continued. I know you're waiting with bated breath.
I know everyone
Board does not work, sorry.
So,
Okay. We are ready for adjournment. The next meeting is September 25th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. unless there is anything else for the good of the order. We're kind of ending on a little bit off of our game, so I want to throw that in there.
well, it'll all be fixed next time. Might need a new board table. Just say.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I move for adjournment.
Thank you, Dean Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Wonderful. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And we are adjourned.